Hi, this is Sean D'Souza, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation Podcast. This podcast isn't some magic trick about how to work less. Instead, it's about how to really enjoy the work that you do and to enjoy your vacation time. Hi, it's Sean, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation. Have you heard of the Buckaroo Buffet? Back in the 1940s, the now famous Las Vegas Strip, it wasn't much to look at. There was one casino on highway number 91 called Pair O Dice Club. And that was it. However, on April 3rd, 1941, one of the first casinos, El Rancho Vegas, started up with 63 rooms. And that's where we run into a very interesting story. Apparently one night, one of the hotel staff, Herb McDonald, he wandered into the kitchen, and then he returned with some cold cuts, some cheese and bread, and he spread it along the bar. The hungry gamblers were extremely happy with this late night surprise. You know how it is when you do something and you think, wow, that's a great idea. I didn't think of it before this moment. Well, it struck McDonald that he had created something different, something new. And now he had this buffet. It was a small buffet, but he started it and he then went on to create the 24-hour all-you-can-eat buffet. He called it the Buckaroo Buffet. You simply had to pay $1 and you could choose from a selection of cold cuts, salad, and seafood. They called it every possible variety of hot and cold entrees to appeal to the howling coyote in your innards. That's quite a mouthful. Anyway, it seems that the US accidentally got its version of the all-you-can-eat buffet. And before long, most of the restaurants and the hotels on the Strip were copying the same idea. Possibly as a result of this random late-night exercise, you and I have walked into an all-you-can-eat restaurant. Then we have gorged on the food. We don't mean to eat a lot, but invariably we do. A little of this, a little of that, and it can add up to mountains of food in a very short time. When we stagger out much later, there's this very strange feeling. We should be satisfied having eaten so much and gotten such a great deal. Instead, we feel bloated. We feel keen not to wander into an all-you-can-eat restaurant for quite a while. And when it comes to work, it's like being in an all-you-can-eat buffet. We start on one project, we go to the next, then we take on the third, and suddenly there's this feeling of frustration. You wake up one day and you're irritated, you're dejected, you don't know what word to put for it. It's not depression or anything, but you're not quite there. And this is how I felt on my Thursday morning. Last Thursday, I just felt like my work had become a bit of drudgery. Today's podcast is not split up into 3 parts. It's not the usual podcast. It's just one section, really, where I talk about how I was able to turn my day around in 30 minutes and how you could possibly do that even though you've got mountains of work piled in front of you, ready to go, and you have to do it. So anyway, I was on my walk in the morning and about 3 times I said, fed up, fed up, fed up. And then Renuka pointed out that I was saying it one more time. It takes us about 40 minutes to reach the cafe via the beach and down the road and up the hill and stuff. And in that period, I was kind of sick of doing anything. I didn't want to do any work. And if you know me, you know I love my work. I love my cartoons, cooking, everything. All of that stuff has to be done all in one day as quickly as possible. As my friend Kimberly Carroll once said to me, Sean, you're a mad person. You're always busy doing things. Even so, at some point, all of us hit a wall. And it's not the kind of wall that you're thinking of. This isn't some spiral into sadness and frustration and depression. It's just a feeling that I tend to get into it when I sense that I need a break. And instead of paying attention to what my brain and my body is telling me, I dig my heels in and I go to work. I turn on my phone, I listen to yet another podcast, yet another audiobook, and I turn that moment, whatever that moment is, of frustration, and I turn it into this learning episode. Except today, my phone decided to have a mind of its own. So I turned on the phone on my walk back. I expected to continue listening to an audiobook. Instead, the phone started playing my favorite music. Admittedly, my music tastes are pretty eclectic. They go from Qawwali to African drums to Turkish music. There is, in that mix, Taylor Swift, tango, Sue. And today, my phone decided to play Randy Travis. Yes, country music. That's the twangy stuff that comes out of Nashville, Tennessee. The stuff that most people like to turn their noses up at. But for me, country music isn't weird at all. I pretty much grew up with this generous dose of country music. Think about it for a second. A kid growing up in Mumbai, India, listening to country music almost all day long. But I didn't just listen to the Randy Travis's, George Straits, and Ricky Skaggs. I'd record whole country radio shows. I'd listen to it repeatedly on what we had back then, which was a sound system, a stereo system. As you can tell, the music floods my brain with subtle waves of joy and growing up. Anyway, my earphones were plugged in and there I was on my horse, listening to my country music on my way back home. But something had changed. I was no longer disgusted. I had this big smile on my face, and instead of this dull stride, I was staring out on the road. I was ahead of Renuka, and she said, "Well, if you want to go ahead, just go ahead, because you're walking so quickly." By the time I was back home, a mere half an hour later, I was a changed person. Our bodies and our brains have a wall. We all run into that wall from time to time. Instead of paying attention to that obstruction, we try to bludgeon our way through it. What the brain is telling us is that it seeks a bit of distraction. It seeks some sort of downtime. For most of us, music is an instant mood lifter. Some days when you're just fed up of everything, turn on the music and see how that makes such a big difference. For me, that's what happens. I'll turn on the music, I'll put it out loud so that it fills my entire being, and suddenly everything has changed. My whole mood has changed. My whole frustration has gone away. And I haven't done anything. My to-do list is still staring at me, but I don't seem to care. But why stop at music? What else makes you happy? I know a visit to the library makes me happy. A visit to the cafe also makes me happy as long as I don't have books to read, learning to do. I can just sit there and watch the world go by, and it's a huge fun trip. Most days my to-do list is fine. It's important. But on some days, I need to block my ears. Instead of listening to my to-do list, I need to pay attention to what my brain and my body is saying to me. Bowing to the demands of a to-do list is bound to make you and me extremely miserable. Instead of wallowing in frustration, do what makes you happy. So I decided to have a fun Thursday. I blasted the music, I cooked some food, I went for a haircut, I wandered through the public library. I even thought of jumping on the ferry and going to the city for no particular reason. A miserable day is a miserable day only because we choose to make it a miserable day. It's not something that can be solved with a tub of ice cream or half a dozen cookies. Something needs to change in our brain. that brain needs to go from that foul mood to something interesting, something that brings us joy and happiness. And work is a lot of fun for a lot of us. However, after we keep going at it, one project, second project, third project, it gets to be too much. Take, for instance, the work that I've been doing this week. I had to write an entire sales page. I had to draw cartoons, I had to put in videos, I had to organize the layout for the sales page. This is for the sales page or the landing page workshop that we're having in Singapore and Brussels. It's in next April, but we're pre-selling it. So it's there and clients are asking for details so that they can sign up. And so I had to finish that sales page. Then I had another chunky assignment. I needed to finish my presentation for a speech that I'm giving in Australia. And that's in early November. So these are big, mind-taxing projects. It takes up all your energy and then you're done with it. What would you do right after you finish this volume of work? I'll tell you what I did. I plowed right into another project because, just like you, I have another 20,000 things to complete. And you know it, even while I'm saying it, that was the wrong thing to do. It's no wonder that I was feeling rotten. And that's when my phone decided, enough is enough. I'm going to take over your life. That's when the music came on, and that's when my entire day and the rest of the week just changed completely. This is something that we all need to understand if we are to make our work more fun and have more greater meaning at work. What's really cool is that it doesn't take a lot of effort. You can blast the music, you can do something that you really like doing, and you'll find that in half an hour you will feel so good, you almost feel like going to work. This is ironical, isn't it? I was disgusted, fed up, didn't want to come to work, but I felt so energized after that walk and that music that I wanted to write this article, which is what I did. And then I went to the library, and then for a coffee, and then I had no other agenda for the rest of the day. This is how you can turn your day around. But what's happened since then? Well, it's been 4 days. Am I still fed up or am I still energized? So when I wrote this, it was Monday morning, and I forgot that I was irritated 4 days ago. The weekend has helped a lot. I watched a TV series for 5, maybe 6 hours. We were up till 1:30 or 2 in the morning. I woke up at 7 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock. I did a lot of drawings. I played with my nieces on the weekend. And I suppose that storm has passed for more than one reason. But here's the learning for the day. We all have projects. We have endless number of projects. And the way we go about it is to go from one project to the second one to the third one and never to take that time off. That mental refreshment is very underrated these days. We're all supposed to go on and on and on all the time. Instead, just filling my mind with fun activities and a great deal of no activity. I woke up to a brighter Monday, and I had no recollection of Thursday. I'm still singing country songs. It's still driving Renuka crazy, but I'm feeling really happy. I don't know what your mood is like today, but if you're keen on turning your day around, this is definitely the way to go. Stop doing work because work will always be around. Even if you're employed and you can't take the day off like I could, you can still take a short break. You can turn on the music. You can go for a walk. If you're like me and you have your own business, you can take the rest of the day off. In all these years I've been in business, I've never seen that to-do list go down. No matter how much you do, there's always a lot to be done. So take the day off. Refresh your brain. Sleep a lot, because that's what your brain is craving. And that creates the turnaround. Suddenly, work is fun again. And that brings us to the end of this mini podcast. That's me, Sean D'Souza, saying bye for now. But wait, what's happening in Psychotactics land? So you know that landing page workshop that I was talking about? It's also the sales page. Some people call it a landing page, some people call it sales page. Anyway, last week I was working on it on the new site, and of course now we have to do twice the work. We have to take it from the new site and put it in the old site, and yes, until the new site is up, it's going to be twice the work all the time. But the interesting part is that we already have close to 40%, I think 50% of the seats gone. There's no sales page up. There is no payment button on the sales page. And already clients from 5000 BC, they know about it, have been asking Renuka whether they can sign up. And so 50% of the seats have gone. And people say, wait a second, what kind of system are you using? And this is what I'm talking about in Australia. You know, we're talking about pre-sale. You're talking about how you can create announcements and snippets and all of the goodies and stuff. And we use the system of pre-sale. But one of the things that you have to understand is that clients really need to trust you. In the last episode, we talked about how we met with clients offline. But even if you don't meet with clients offline, there is a way to connect with them. If you're a client of ours, you've probably received a chocolate. You've probably received a postcard. Now, a postcard, from me at least, doesn't involve just sending a postcard, a random postcard. I'll write on it. I'll draw a cartoon on the cover. I'll paint it. It's a production. It's like half an hour of my life going into that single postcard. And when the client receives it, they recognize that kindness. They recognize that it's not a promotion. They recognize that the chocolate is not a promotion. This is not so hard for you to do. You have clients and they want their lives uplifted at some point as well. It's such a pleasure. I mean, talk about music, talk about all the stuff that we were talking about in this podcast, and then you go, well, how can I make someone else's day amazing? And you can do that. You can send a bunch of postcards to people with a short little note telling them what you appreciate about them or anything that you want to say. And that changes your day around. That changes their day around. I mean, it's so simple to just go through the day thinking of yourself all day long, which is fine. Listen to your music, have your coffee, but when you have clients, you go back now, say, hey, how can I send these people some chocolate? How can I send them a postcard? How can I do something that is completely unusual for them? And you will find that clients appreciate this because now they're like you, they're human beings and they enjoy getting something. A lot of people look at funnels and how to hack the system, and if you want funnels and hacking the system, this is it. Be a human being. Be a kind human being. And you can hack the system. That's me, Sean D'Souza, saying bye for now. If you'd like to come to the Psychotactics workshop, which is a live event, it's a lot of fun. It's like no other workshop you've ever been to. I know, I've not gone to all the workshops on the planet, but I can tell you, this is a real fun event. And you learn a lot, and you learn how to create that sales page and landing page. So get on a plane, get to Brussels in Europe. That's on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of April. But if you're on the other side of the world, there's Singapore, and that's on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of May. If you can't make it to the workshop, get yourself Client Attractors. Client Attractors shows you how to write bullets. Bullets are a very crucial part of the workshop. And finally, there's 5000 BC. 5000 BC is where introverts meet, where you can ask questions, and I'm there all the time. I've answered over 50,000 posts. And it's not just me, but the entire community that is kind, helpful. In fact, that's what it is. That's the slogan of 5000 BC. It's be kind, be helpful, or be gone. See you in 5000 BC. Bye for now.